Alright gang, welcome back to Coastal Auto Reaction. We got a special treat for you today. We are in Manitoba, Canada at Reborn Auto Detailing. Now, as you may or may have not noticed, we're not big on detailing, mainly because we don't really know how. You know, I can spray wax the truck and hit it with some tire foam and make it look pretty, but it takes serious skill and equipment to know how to properly detail an automobile, whether it be a new car or a classic like this 62 Fairlane. So I'd like to introduce you to Rennie, who is the owner of Reborn Auto Detailing. Rennie, come on in, bud. So he's going to show us. I'm excited because I've always wanted to know, how do you get an engine bay? I'm the guy that fixes the engine, but how do I get it from going greasy to where I lift the hood and everybody gets impressed? So at this time, I'm going to let Rennie take over. On this car, what are you doing to this car?
So this one in particular, the customer wants the engine bay detailed. So this is a one-owner car. It's been in the same family since it's been new. He wants the engine bay cleaned up, partly because there was a pretty bad leak on the valve cover gasket, which just really made a little bit more of a mess than normal. But this thing has got, 62, it's got 40 plus years worth of grime built up. So here what I'm doing.
That's a lot of buildup.
Yeah, so you can see here I've started the driver front corner. This is what it looks like after. In the front passenger side is what it did look like before. So just to clean everything up, all the nooks and crannies. And with a car of this year, it's also to make sure that you use the proper chemicals, that you are not damaging anything more than needs to be, because there's some pretty sensitive hoses and rubber components and decals and even factory stampings that you've got to be really cautious about.
Yeah, you could potentially burn through paint, or if somebody wants to make sure they have chalk marks, because not so much now, but back in the day, as the vehicles went down the assembly line, there'd be a quality control person that would hit an X, or sometimes the rear diff would have a J on it or something like that. So when they detail a car like this, you have to be, this is why you take it to a professional. You don't just go to Walmart or one of those places and buy the thing that you saw on TV and try to do it yourself. It's a skilled trade. It's a perfect example, like you just saw. That compared to the before and after is just mind-blowing, to me at least.
Yeah, there's no hammering on the pressure washer on this one.
No.
So when we talked about stampings, this is a good example of one right here. So this is the factory quality control check that said paint okay. So this, I will actually have to take a Q-tip and go around that to make sure that it don't wipe anything off. So
what do you find is the most difficult, and which do you prefer? Old cars like this, or like a new car, say your personal Hellcat? Which type of paint? Because this would be acrylic enamel, and that would be base clear, I think. Which one is harder and provides the best results when you dive into it? Do you know what I mean? Like, which one is the biggest difference?
There's a lot of ifs that come with that.
Yeah.
So typically you get much more of a wow result when you do an older vehicle like this, because the paint is so much more worn down and it's got, more swirls,
it's
more
got
marring.
the age.
Yeah, whereas comparing it to my Hellcat, it's only a few years old. Yeah, you can definitely add some depth and gloss to it.
But most people have seen a shiny Hellcat.
Yeah.
When was the last time you've seen a shiny 62 anything?
Yeah. So in regards to the question on paint hardness and how to handle different types of paint, this is just a little bit of a sample. These are all different types of pads, whether they are a heavy cut foam pad, wool pad, microfiber pad, polishing microfiber pad. These all have a different purpose. Same thing with all of these up here. All of these, even different sizes to get into different areas, whether it's motorcycles or just inside taillight pockets. You really have to be pretty well equipped to be able to handle getting in all of those little nooks and crannies, so they all react differently. So yeah, and a good example is I just finished doing a 73 Datsun 240Z.
Oh, cool.
That was all original, 29,000 miles. The paint was completely chalked up, and I polished it, ceramic coated it, and it was day and night.
So have you noticed a difference, now that you mentioned the Datsun, between manufacturers and foreign and domestic cars, especially the classics for paint? Now that the foreign cars are becoming much more popular, Datsun 510s, old Toyota and Datsun pickup trucks, and the 240Z, do you notice any differences?
Yeah, absolutely. So a good example is if I'm going to be polishing a newer Dodge, the paint is going to be like, the clear coat is going to be like a medium hard clear coat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not too much of a challenge getting into something like a GM. GM's clear coat is incredibly hard, so that you really have to switch up the way that you're doing it, whether it's a more aggressive compound, more aggressive pad, versus a Tesla or a European like a Porsche.
Yeah.
I just did a Tesla, 2021 Tesla with 58 kilometers on it, and that was the softest paint I've ever come across.
Oh, okay.
So it's, yeah, you really have to.
You can burn through it.
It is not a one size fits all by any means.
Yeah.
You really have to do your test spots, find your right combination, and then go from there.
So this owner here, I know we were talking before we started filming, gang. Rini was telling me he's doing the engine bay, but this owner chose to not polish the whole car. What would you recommend? Like, for myself, if I was going to get a car done, I would just get the whole car done by the person that really knows their stuff. Like when you said with the Q-tip,
yep.
Your average guy is not going to know to do that, right? What is the biggest benefit to getting the whole car done? As far as, do you think it's value or longevity in the paint, you know, compared to what you do to a regular person's, what I would do with mine? Because if it was me, I'd wash it with some good, you know, wash wax and hit it with turtle wax ice and rub it, and it would look shiny. But after a week or two goes by, it's back to looking kind of dull.
Yeah.
So how do you try to explain without them just thinking you're trying to get more work? Tell the viewers what needs to happen for a car to stay nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of a loaded question, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah, like, so ultimately, on a vehicle like this, you know, yeah, like this is pretty much a Sunday cruiser.
Yeah. Driver class.
Yeah, so there's definitely a bunch of different options available, whether it's a paint enhancement, which is just very much like a quick polish with built-in wax, where you're just kind of filling a lot of the swirls in, and that'll get you maybe about a year worth of looks,
Mm-hmm.
versus like a full-blown correction where you're actually fixing the paint. Now, an older vehicle like this, you do have to be a little bit more cautious because you've got some incredibly thin paint. So
Yeah.
first thing that I do on a vehicle like this with original paint is I check the paint depth. You know, how much material do I actually have to work with?
Mm-hmm.
Some is just so thin that you can't even polish it because
Yeah.
you're instantly going to burn through.
You're gonna, yeah. So the term paint correction too, that's thrown around quite a bit. When you say paint correction, you're not talking about painting the car. You're talking about working with the paint that's already on the car, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fixing the actual paint. Paint enhancement is just making it look better than what it was.
Okay.
Versus actually fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Compared
actually
to sanding and painting.
correct. So you're working with the mill thickness that you have there and wearing down those inclusions down so that they're flat, so that when you're looking at it under lighting, you are actually not seeing those inclusions anymore because they've actually been wore down based on the amount of microns that are left on the paint.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Like, it's so. What do you find works? Trying to figure out how to ask it without it being another just huge loaded question. what can your average person do to keep, say they buy a car, someone like you has worked on it, you've corrected the whole paint. What is the best way to care for that paint job? Should it always be in undercover? What if you can't put it undercover? Tips and tricks like that.
So probably the biggest tip I would say is the washing step.
Mm-hmm.
So the brushes. The brushes, stay away from the brushes.
I'm horrible for that.
Because especially at the car washes, you realize that the guy before you was trying to knock out mud out from his wheel tubs. So the biggest thing is using a good quality wash mitt, like a Microfiber Chanel wash mitt,
Okay.
with good quality soap, like a pH neutral soap, and just basically washing it off. Once it's all rinsed off, wiping everything off, making sure that it's dry.
Dry it,
You're not letting it bake
onto it.
That's where you're getting water spots and all that kind of stuff. So
We have where we're from in BC, we have horribly hard water.
okay.
If I don't dry the windshield minimum on my vehicles, you can't see through it in the sun. It is horrendous. So we use microfibers to dry it after. I'm horrible for the brush. I have a professional one from a car lot, but it speeds it up when you're washing a 1-ton truck. But you're totally right. Use a wash mitt, guys, especially on a classic car. Like before the 55 Crown Victoria was sold, a brush never went near that thing. So I got a couple more questions here. I'm dying to know. Those dusters, are those bad for your car?
You are literally dragging dust across your car.
Now they get rid of the dust, and they say it mags it and sucks it up, and I've used them before too. But it doesn't clean it. And then you have the camp of people, and Jay Leno has said it. Well, keep it dry. It's better than getting the car wet. But if you carefully wash it, it would be better than using just one of those dust wands or whatever, the California duster.
Yeah.
It's more of a gimmick product.
Yeah, like the way that I usually treat my Hellcat, I will, if it's got a layer of dust on it, if I find there's maybe too much dust, worst case scenario, I will take my foam cannon, I will foam the whole car and just rinse it off, dry it. That way I know I'm not introducing contaminants into the clear coat and rubbing it in, making more swirls. The other aspect is, say you just head over to a car show and you've picked up just the tiniest little bit of dust and you want it to keep it clean. What I personally do is I'll get a good quality microfiber, something as simple as this. Anything that touches my car will be a brand new microfiber. You'll just use a quick detailer, spray directly on the microfiber. And then you'll just essentially use just a wiping action, lifting up, flip it to the other side, so you've got essentially 8 sides you can use, and you can just about wipe down the whole vehicle like that, and very, very minimal chance of adding any marring at that point.
That's some great information. And not the whole part, but I do use those microfibers that way. Although I've been washing and taking care of cars for years and years and years. I even worked at a large Ford lot washing cars. I'm learning from a professional tons of stuff that now I'm going to do way different. So don't think just because you've been working on cars or I could rebuild that carburetor, take knowledge from other people and learn from it, because it has benefited me more than I can say. Now, one of the other questions I have, people say, well, I could wash the car myself, I could detail it myself. And we'll use this car as an example. I've got a 62 Fairlane, it's a 4-door, family heirloom, Sunday driver. I come to you, it's in about this condition, drivable. I say, Rennie, I want this car to be as nice as it can be. Front to back, bumper to bumper. What would that cost me? Approximately. Now I know it's going to vary because you have variables that you don't know. But if I was to ask you that, what a ballpark, so people just have an idea. I'll tell you what, how many hours would it take, do you think?
So, say The last few that I did that T-Bird, the 56 T-Bird, 73 Datsun. You're looking 80 to 100 hours between paint correction, engine bay, interior detail, including like hand painting the nameplates, emblems,
Yeah.
touch-ups, and then depending if you want ceramic coat to basically protect all that, anywhere between $2,000 all the way up to $5,000. It really depends, how crazy we're going to get.
Yeah, and what kind of car it is and whether or not it's worth it, right?
Yeah, and some vehicles, I know that we've had several that, even after a $5,000 bill, the vehicle was appraised after the fact, and it ended up going up in value about $15,000.
Yeah. Well, it's all about perception.
Yeah.
It's the same car, but because so much time and care and attention has gone in to the presentation, anybody looking at it's going to perceive it as a more valuable object.
Absolutely. You think of just selling your vehicle on the, whether it's Kijiji or Marketplace or whatever
Marketplace, Craigslist, all of them.
You're obviously going to wash the vehicle.
Yeah.
You're going to vacuum the interior. This is just taking it to the next level. So whether it's, we get vehicles that are getting ready to get traded in, and we'll do the full detail, and they'll end up getting a premium over and above what they would have gotten the way it's sat.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to kind of look at that initial cost of, $500 seems like a lot to do, to wash and do an interior. But when you get $4,000 more on your trade-in value, now all of a sudden that's a pretty good
it's all
financial
relevant.
decision.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a couple more questions that are specifically, and the reason why I'm going to ask you is because I can't stress this enough, gang. Automotive, there's many fields. I'm a diesel mechanic. Rennie, professional detailer. There's a lot more to this than anybody realizes. So, there's a couple of myths I want you to help me with. Armor All on the tires, tire foam. Is it bad for the tires?
Really depends if it is a petroleum-based or water-based.
Okay.
So petroleum-based will usually kind of rot the tires faster. It dries them out.
Now, what if you burn through tires every year and a half, like I do? Then is it okay to armor all? I'm horrible with tire foam. I just get after it.
Yeah, it shouldn't make that much of a difference, but there's lots of different options. Like us, everything that we use is a water-based.
Yeah.
And that will actually help hydrate and make the tires last longer.
Yeah, especially on a car like this. Like, if I've got a set of all-terrains on my 2017 Ram, and I'm putting 70,000 kilometers a year on my truck, the tires are going to be worn out before the Armor All is going to hurt them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing, Armor All on your dash and stuff. It was big back in the 90s, and everybody Armor All'd everything. I haven't had long-term results, even remotely, anything but negative with that. Anytime I used Armor All on stuff, I either had to keep feeding it the Armor All, like every week, or it would either crack, like the dash on my 69 Dart. I was scared it was going to crack because it would start to dry out and I'd have to Armor All. They make way better products now, but does the same kind of water to petroleum base go for interior vinyls and stuff? And what's the difference between working on the leather interior in a newer truck and a leather interior in say a 69 Imperial? Do you have to feed it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I guess, two-part question. So as far as Armor All, I don't use it. So
good enough.
I can't tell you. For the most part, the best thing to put on your interior, I know there's lots of different dressings, and a lot of people like different form of finishes, whether it's like a satin finish or they really like the almost baby oil type finish.
Yeah.
You can get
gloss.
You can get all sorts of different things. The key thing is to get something with UV protection. So the stuff that I use for dressing, it's just a flat finish. Me and my customers prefer just a flat factory finish, and the UV protection helps it from breaking down and changing colors and wearing out prematurely. When it comes to leather, yeah, definitely you want to be cleaning it and conditioning it properly and regularly. Like conditioning, you usually do every 6 months. You want to keep that leather hydrated so you don't get that premature cracking and wearing.
Well, and some older leather needs like hide food almost, they call it, right? Like it's,
Yeah, so there's like we've done a few of them where the leather on some older vehicles were like it was like sitting on a roofing shingle.
yeah.
And that like we're dumping conditioner in it, and over the course of a couple days you can see the leather just like sucking it up, and then you're putting another application in. All of a sudden 3 days later it is like super nice and soft.
Yeah.
So it's all about nourishing that leather and giving it that moisture that it needs. So
I got one more question. Ceramic coating.
yeah.
Myth or fact?
Oh, fact, man.
Thank you.
I am sold. Both my personal vehicles are coated. I've got my personal Hellcat that I'm going to be getting ready for one of the big car shows in Winnipeg here in March. I've actually booked the entire month of December off, and I am going through that thing soup to nuts.
Yeah.
And ceramic coating everything, whether it's the wheels, the calipers, the glass, the paint, everything's getting coated and protected. I'm a firm believer in it. It's a sacrificial coating that will help maintain vehicles' appearance, keep it clean, add depth to the color, and just add that shine. And it basically locks that perfect finish that you've just spent 19 hours correcting locked in.
That's what I want to do to I have a 98 5.9 liter Jeep.
Okay.
They're quite rare. It's in really good shape, but it's getting faded and has some haze and swirls. Not really bad. It's okay. It could be corrected. But I was trying to figure out, should I ceramic coat it? And everything I found said yes. So now that I've talked to a professional face to face, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. All right, gang. We're back for day 2 at Reborn Auto Detailing. We couldn't show you the beginning without showing you the after product. So I'm going to pass you over to Rennie. He's the master detailer, not me, and let him explain how the engine came out on this beautiful 62 Ford. Is it Falcon or Fairlane?
Fairlane.
It's a
Fairlane.
Fairlane 500.
Fairlane 500, okay.
So this is our results. So this is the first time that this engine bay has ever really been detailed. So needless to say, there was a lot of buildup, a lot of years worth of oil changes and mechanics working on it. So we were able to bring it down to the bare substrate. Some components don't necessarily look as good as you'd want them to, but it's down to the actual bare substrate, whether it's paint or rust or whatever it may be. You've got a nice clean view of everything. And the nice thing is sometimes it really highlights that original beauty that the engine manufacturer intended for this. The beautiful Ford blue
Yeah,
valve
the
covers.
engineers worked on making it look good.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rennie, but cleaning up like this and detailing it, I love an honest engine bay.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or do they actually run better when they get cleaned like this?
Yeah, especially when you've got a really thick layer of built up grease and grime and all that kind of stuff. When you start cleaning all of that thickness off of the engine block, it definitely helps, for it to run cooler, and you don't have necessarily as much of that kind of burnt smell as
Yes.
stuff is heating up. So this one in particular, what was the really kind of driving factor was the fact that the customer had a leaking valve cover gasket that had been really kind of caking a lot of the stuff over the time, and getting it all cleaned up kind of resets that engine bay, where even though it's not, you know, 100% showpiece, you can definitely open the hood and have some pride in saying that this is 100% original.
Well, in these days, patina originality is almost more sought after than 20 years ago, where it would have chrome valve covers and an Edelbrock air cleaner
Yeah.
and red plug wires and stuff like that. People have grown to appreciate this look a lot more. I know I appreciate this look, and it just makes for a more enjoyable car. When the car is detailed, quite often people forget about the engine bay, and you don't notice till you've driven something that's had the engine bay detailed and clean. The engine just runs better and cooler because it doesn't have a layer of grime and grease and dirt that's been on there for 20 years.
Yeah.
This is one of the, what I would say it's an unsung trade of the auto industry that people don't appreciate, because when you go to look at a car, your first impression is how shiny it is. When you lift the hood, you check for leaks and to see how maintained it is. Yet, there's not enough credit given to the guys that have the skills. This is an actual trade. So I gotta thank you. I gotta give you a pound, because you gotta be careful,
Yeah.
for showing us this amazing engine bay. And the thing about Coastal Auto Reaction is, as you know, I'm a Dodge guy. We love old Dodge trucks. Bobo's a Jeep guy. But we appreciate any automotive enthusiast or automotive history. So thank you again for showing us this
Yeah.
and coming on our channel. Guys, make sure you check the description below. Any link for Reborn will be down there. If you're in Manitoba or anywhere you want to ship the car, this is the guy to do it. I know that when it's time to get Betsy detailed, I'm going to try to get my old 68 Dodge out here to him, because I saw this car the other day. And if you guys go back, pause the video, check out what this engine looked like. The best term I can come up with is this is an honest engine bay. That's what I think.
Yeah, I like that phrase.
It's an honest engine bay. You know darn well what you've got. Did you have any issues? Because I noticed the washer bag is cleaner.
Yep.
Those got to get brittle with age.
Yeah, so just like anything else, you've got to, you know, whether it's a painted fender stamping or whatever it may be.
Like that one there that you showed us?
Yeah, so you have to treat every different, you know, whether it's a rubber hose or, you know, painted surface or raw metal, you have to treat all those different substrates differently with the appropriate cleaner and the appropriate brushes or method of cleaning.
Yeah, according to the material you're working with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, because you can wreck something in a hurry. So
Yeah, quicker than you even know, eh?
yeah.
All right, Rennie. Well, thanks again, my friend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It's just a small peek into the different trades and automotive work that goes on to make a car worth more and look better. Check out the link in the description. This guy knows what he's doing. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.